Welcome to the Scratch Golfer's Mindset Podcast. My name is Paul Salter, and I'm a triple-digit golfer on a quest to become a scratch golfer. I'm also a high-performance mindset coach and credentialed hypnotherapist with 15 years of experience helping high performers from all walks of life get unstuck and unlock their full potential. Join me each week as I not only detail my journey, but make mastering the mental game of golf simple, tangible, and relatable so that you can overcome the mental hazards keeping you stuck in the proverbial bunker of poor performance. Hey, fellow golfer. Welcome back to another episode of the Scratch Golfer's Mindset Podcast. I'm your host, Paul Salter, the golf hypnotherapist. And dare I say, I now am a double-digit golfer? I mean, 299s the past 10 days or so. I wouldn't say that I am going to definitively never shoot higher than 100 again. I will, however, say I am trending in the right direction. Remember, welcome back. Another Tuesday episode where these episodes are particularly designed and structured to highlight my journey to becoming a scratch golfer. Every single week, I'm going to simply recap my playing rounds and my practice sessions and share with you the real vulnerable insight as to what's going on mentally for me, what emotions are keeping me stuck or posing quite a challenge, and updating you on my scoring, my challenges, my obstacles, and all of the wins in between. So I appreciate you being here. And before I dive into recapping the past week, including 2 rounds and a separate practice session, I've got 2 quick reminders. First and foremost is I'm researching to better understand how I can best serve you here on the podcast, as well as in my weekly newsletter, More Pars Than Bogeys. I want to learn more about you, your challenges, fears, desires, and goals to ultimately help me improve my content and my ability to provide you with what it is you need to get out of your own way on and off the golf course so you can play and live to your potential. So if you are currently a double-digit handicap golfer, destined, determined, and committed to breaking 80, I would love to hop on a Zoom call and ask you a handful of questions. And if you're open to it, you can use the link below in the show notes to make that call happen. And second, if you've ever lined up for a shot, gone through your normal pre-shot routine, yet moments before you initiated your backswing, felt like something was off, didn't feel right, or you were distracted, yet you swung anyway, well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it may be costing you anywhere from 5 to 10 strokes per round. And if you are guilty of hitting far too many anyway shots during a round, like myself, then this past edition of my newsletter, More Pars Than Bogeys, is the newsletter you need to read. This edition, simply called Stop This Specific Shot to Shoot More Pars Than Bogeys, Learn to Let Go of the anyway shot. And you can start reading after you listen to this episode by visiting the link in the show notes below. And with that said, we're going to dive into the meat and potatoes of today's episode. And I have 2 rounds to explicitly break down and detail with you to help update you on where I am stuck and struggling and where I'm excelling and progressing. And that first round starts with what was ultimately going to be a practice round, yet a golden opportunity unfolded. There's a neat course nearby. I'm more or less designating it as my home course. It's called Rogers Park. Both of these rounds took place at this golf course. But what's unique about Rogers Park is that they have a 9-hole short course where 2 of the holes are about 110, 120 yards. The remaining 7 are less than like 75 yards. So it's a short game course that has, the built tee boxes. It's the turf and then a short hole. You can easily walk this thing in under an hour. But what was really unique about this opportunity is I chipped and putted for about 40 minutes and noticed nobody was out there. It was like 11 a.m. on a Wednesday. And I had time. So I thought, I'm going to go play the short course. And I paid an arm and a leg for this course. I mean, it was a whopping $9. Well, what was interesting was not only were there no adults on the course, they were running summer camp for children. So there were a couple groups of, 6 to 8, probably 6 to 8 year olds with an instructor or two on like the 4th or 5th hole. That meant I had a wide open course to play. So I took my time playing that short course and I averaged playing 5 balls per hole. Yes, you heard me correctly. I would hit a ball, drop another, hit a ball, and then go finish my chipping or putting and play out the hole and keep pace with the group in front of me, which again was the handful of little rascals running around and who, by the way, were hitting some pretty nice shots. But I share this with you because I took advantage to really drill in a focus and priority of mine, which is my short game. I mentioned in last week's episode, one of my priorities during my practice sessions is learning how to have better distance control when I am inside 70 yards, particularly that 40 to 70 yard range. And what I have been working on is I use primarily my 52-degree wedge. I am choking up on the club a little bit. I'm taking my normal grip and then moving down about 1.5 inches or so. And then from there, I'm working on a half backswing and a 3/4 backswing. Well, as you can imagine, playing the short course 5 balls per hole gave me ample opportunity to practice and better gauge my distances between a half backswing and a 3/4 backswing. And by the time I was on the 4th and 5th hole, I was hitting almost every green in regulation. And it was a really encouraging and positive training experience. And, I write down, like I encourage you to do, or I voice note them into my notes app, a post-round recap after every session I play. I noticed significant improvement using my wedge, particularly between 40 and 60 yards. And I think one of the biggest challenges and, to be frank, fears I faced getting back into the game of golf was how I would handle par 3s. And what I mean by that, I was just so doubtful in my ability to consistently hit irons that there was a lot of fear of embarrassment and judgment on completely shanking the shot or just completely missing the green. If there was water, it felt like there was a magnet between the water and my ball. I'm playing some pretty damn good par 3 golf, and I scored well on the par 3 course. I shot well, and those holes in which I had to use my 9-iron or my pitching wedge, I was solid. I was consistent, great contact overall. And that's where I'm at in my journey. I alluded to it in a past episode. My first initial goal getting back into the game was like, don't fucking miss the ball. Like priority number 1, really underneath the surface, was hit the ball, don't embarrass yourself. Number 2 was, okay, hit the ball and have an appropriate backswing that was taught to me so that the ball would start going in the direction I would desire and to go in that direction consistently. The third evolution of my progress was, okay, my backswing, I know what to do and I can do it consistently, was now you need to hit down onto the ball, have your hands lead through the swing, and that's producing the trajectory and more or less the direction I want. The fourth phase, if you will, where I'm really at in my learning and skill progression journey is following through, getting that toe up on my follow through so that I'm not hitting the ball, even with, perfect contact, if you will, with an open club face. Because what I still noticed playing the short course was I was still pushing the vast majority of my shots right. Perfect trajectory, apex, and distance, clean contact, yet 10 to 25 yards to the right of where I was aiming. So that's definitely where I need to continue to push my effort and my practice. And It's actually Monday as I'm recording this. So I decided either tonight I'm playing a round of 9 or I'm getting a practice session in. And I'll put this recap on next week's episode. But I'm going to do a lot of short course work again tonight, really finding that level of comfort, confidence, and consistency, swinging down and through the ball to get the shots going exactly where I am so I can begin to take a more aggressive approach attacking pins. And that's where I'm at today. Now, what I really want to focus on today is digging into my round of 18. I broke 100 again. It was an ugly 99. I grinded out a 99. It was, to be frank, a humbling experience. You know, coming off my 99 and a 104 the week or the 10 days prior, I had felt a lot of progress. I was seeing progress. My confidence had leveled up dramatically when it came to hitting off the tee box, hitting both my long and short irons, and things were starting to click for me. I was humbled during this last round. And yes, I scored a 99. And yes, there were a couple, to be frank, it was probably more between a 100 and a 104. There were a couple weird shots where I lost the ball and I didn't take the shot because I knew it was in place somewhere. The rough was so thick. Regardless, I did not play well. And I want to unpack some of the learning lessons and the challenges, and I'll sprinkle in the wins because there were many wins in there. But right out of the gate, one thing I noticed that I'm struggling to put together, and this is good feedback for you, and I'm going to share how I would put my coaching hat on and how I'm speaking to myself about this, is I am still so young in my return to the game that I don't yet have a consistent warm-up routine prior to playing 18. And something I teach with my high performers, my entrepreneurs and business owners in my coaching is when it comes to having a morning routine, you need 2 variations. You need a short, bare minimum morning routine that is 5 minutes or less, that at least primes you and sets the tone and intention for a fantastic day. And then you create more of your standard optimal morning routine, which maybe it's 20 to 30 minutes when all the stars align and you have the bandwidth to do so. That same principle applies here. So for you listening, my challenge to you, and I'll talk about my structure in a moment, is you as well need 2 variations of your pre-round warm-up routine. One of them likely should be about 10 to 15 minutes. The other one should be 30 to 40 minutes. That way, if you arrive later than desired to go play, you have something that you can begin to put into place, kind of turn your brain off while simultaneously beginning to warm up your body, your mind, and connecting your mind and body so you can swing fluidly and confidently and feel warmed up, prepared to play. Now, with that said, this warm-up routine I'm mentioning is specific to on-the-course warm-up. We'll talk about the guided hypnosis and visualization before the round another time. With that said, if you're looking for a free hypnosis recording, I have one you can get at the show notes below. It's called Play Your Best Round. Listen to it the night before or the morning of, and go watch yourself play your best round yet. And of course, let me know how it goes. So what I did the other morning as I teed off at about 7:30 in the morning is I had a leftover quarter bucket of large balls in my trunk from another range session I didn't finish. So I hit a few 52 and 60 degree wedges, might have hit my pitching wedge a few times. I chipped and putted for about 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes total, and that was it. So I hadn't touched driver or 3-wood. I hadn't touched any of my long irons. I did some general calisthenics to loosen my back up. I've got some back issues that have been plaguing me for years that recently flared up, and I'll bring that up, I'm sure, later in this episode because there's a key point I want to share. But that's where I'm at. I did a little general body routine, a little range work, a little chipping and putting, and I hit the course. I shanked my drive off of the first hole. Just completely shanked it. And to be frank, I was less than stellar off the tee box for all 18. And I'm looking at my stats here. I use the Grint app, Paul J. Salter 07, if you want to connect and follow along with my journey there. I might have hit one or two greens in regulation on the front, maybe three, fairways, maybe two or three on the back. I was just inconsistent. And what I noticed was, first and foremost, is I was hooking my driver or my 3-wood, which for me is a very big indicator that A, I am tight, and B, I am gripping the club too much. I'm over swinging. I'm thinking too much. So I learned there not only the importance of getting a strong start, perhaps bringing out my 3-iron should I need to on the tee box. I got to get the ball in play. I lost so many strokes by just being an idiot and just choosing the wrong club off the tee box. There was some ego involved. Again, I was riding high from the last couple of weeks of golf going so well. I also wasn't warmed up effectively. And there were a lot of things I could have done differently with my warm-up routine and my decision-making on the tee box. So circling back to the warm-up routine, I'm in the process of writing down my dream warm-up state. And I'm not yet finalized on what it will look like, but it's going to consist of, in a perfect day, 10 minutes of putting, 10 minutes of chipping. And I know my putting's going to start with hitting 10 that are 3 feet or less, making all 10, moving to 6 feet, moving to 9 feet, doing a quick distance practice just to make sure I'm understanding the speed of the green. Then I'll move on to start my round. On the range, there's going to be some half swings with the pitching wedge, or the 52 degree, some 3/4 and some full swings. I'll go 52, I'll go pitching, I'll go 8, I'll go 6, I'll go 3, I'll go 3-wood, I'll go driver. I don't know how long that will take. To be frank, 15, 20 minutes. So we're looking here with some 5 to 10 minutes general calisthenics before probably a 35 to 40 minute warm up in an ideal situation. And I'll call it what it is. I work my own schedule. I typically have an opportunity to create that on the days I desire. I know, however, it won't always happen. So with that said, I need a backup routine. I need a short routine that allows me to be physically warm and to quickly build the confidence I need to play my best. So that will be a 5-minute condensed general calisthenics. It'll be an abbreviated chip and putt, 5 minutes of each of those, and it will be 10 minutes or less on the range. So now we're at about 15 to 20 minutes, if I'm being frank there, which is much more doable and will allow me to still walk away with a better mindset, because I felt like my warm-up was rushed, unorganized, and chaotic, and that showed on the course. Now, as I'm looking through my notes here, the element I really wanted to discuss today was I had 2 blow-up holes, and they caught me by surprise. On number 9, par 5, I shot a triple bogey. And then on 18, a par 4, I had a double par. Just ugly, out of bounds shots, not even shanking, just caught up in some bad, thick rough and not judging the distance appropriately, hitting one too many anyway shots, feeling a little bit rushed. And it was really humbling because I can reflect back, struggling to recall exactly how I felt during those moments, because they happened on autopilot. It was just this automatic, unconscious reaction taking place where before I knew it, I teed off, shanked the tee shot, and then the hole was over, and I was struggling to grasp just how many strokes it took for me to finish that hole. And as you can imagine, it was frustrating. It was challenging. And for me, the trigger of some of these holes, like I look at my scorecard and it's like, double, par, bogey, bogey, triple, bogey, double, bogey, triple. Like those triples were preceded by a poor shot off the tee box. Easily corrected. And that's where I'm going to spend a lot of my time in my course management and mental approach as I prepare for this next round. So for me, I'm digging in. I'm getting more intimate and connected with those blow-up holes, really seeking to understand why they took place. I found myself, buried in a bundle of trees, having to pitch out. I found myself uber aggressive, trying to hit over a mountain of trees, and lo and behold, I hit the ball exactly where I wanted to, if you will, but it ricocheted off the trunk of the tree and moved backwards or moved sideways. Great clean contact, did everything right except leave my ego by the door and just punch out. So a lot of mental game course management strategy will remain a focus for me. And the last interesting aspect of the round before I wrap up my takeaways and updates for this episode is I played the front nine by myself. Coming off of 8, I had shot a 42 through 8. Accidentally looked at the score. You know, the Grint app, I use the GPS feature the entire round. It displays it in the bottom left corner. I'm typically pretty good at avoiding that, but I happened to see, okay, I'm at a 42. And I honestly, looking back, don't think I gave it much conscious thought. Like, oh, if I par or bogey this hole, it'll be the best 9 I've played to date. But like I mentioned, I blew up. I ended up shooting a triple bogey on that hole and a 50. So for me, continuing to understand that I need to focus on one shot at a time, and I need to really make sure I place my emphasis on getting a strong start to the hole. On the back 9, I was starting to run into some traffic, the majority or the back end of that front 9. I joined a threesome of rambunctious, rowdy, kind, hysterical, genuinely good people to golf with. A threesome playing in a bigger group of like 22 gentlemen, all ages, probably low 40s to mid 60s. They were kind, they were funny, they were great golfers. And it was an interesting experience because they pulled up behind me as I got ready to tee off on 10. They mentioned, hey, we were the group in front of you. We just grabbed some beer. Do you mind if we join up? No, not a problem at all. Yet, a lot of my playing right now, early in this return to golf, is by myself. And I know, I'll be very frank with you, my fear I need to overcome is playing with others. There's this pressure I place on myself to be perfect, to perform, to live up to my potential and the expectations I place on myself. Well, as you can imagine, I shanked that tee shot, even hit another one, shanked it again, or I hooked the second one. It was playable. I moved on, doubled 10, bogeyed 11, 12, really good. Bogeyed that and had a double on 13, but I was starting to shoot better. My point is, it took me about 2.5 holes to really settle in just from the novelty of playing with a group of 4. And it really frustrated me because I recognized in hindsight, I started to lose sight of having fun. I was so overly concerned with playing well, with impressing others. I was overly fixated on their opinion. They gave 0 fucks about my ability to play golf and how good I was. And I got distracted. I was tense. I was tight. When I'm overthinking, I'm overcorrecting. I'm hooking a lot off the tee box, which is exactly what I did every hole but one on the back 9, it felt like. And I didn't play well. So really here, I recognized I lost sight of keeping things fun. And that's a great reminder to bring top of mind. And 2, I started to feel the pressure of not only playing with others, which I need to get over fast. It's a social game, and I plan to play with more people, which is why if you're in Tampa, hit me up. I've got a couple rounds scheduled the next 6 weeks with local Tampa guys I've never met. Should be a blast to start getting more comfortable playing with other people. But also, ever since announcing last week, my goal is to break 90 in 4 months. And then I had a wonderful podcast on the Mental Golf Show podcast with Josh Nichols. And he asked me about my goal, what I'm working on in the short term. And, in his words, more or less, like that's a challenging ambitious goal. It's great. Your mind is made up. You're going to reach it, but it is a challenging goal. And I think I started to feel a little bit of the pressure of this goal, which is so silly to say out loud. And I say that to illustrate to you, like, this is kind of how our subconscious works. It wants to keep us safe. It wants to protect us. It really is good at deploying several sabotaging behaviors and unconscious reactions to keep us safe. And it means, performing below expectations so we don't have to ride and carry the pressure of playing better or performing to our potential. There's so many ways the subconscious tries to sabotage. And I have a clear set of takeaways in what I'm going to focus on. Some of the wins that I didn't mention is I had 1 3-putt on punched greens nonetheless. I crushed every par 3. And when I say crushed, I'm looking at the scorecard now. Bogey, bogey, bogey. Okay, I bogeyed every par 3, but clean, great contact every single time. I only hit one of those greens in regulation, and that's the one I happened to 3-putt as well, which is still why I ended up with a 4. I also had a lot of great shots sprinkled in, and it just, it's so frustrating when you see the potential. You're capable of playing so much better. I had a great birdie look on a par 5. I punched out of trees a couple times really well when I did put my ego aside, and I had a couple good saves for bogey where I got, up and down to save bogey, so to speak. And all of that to say, there were a lot of low-hanging fruit opportunities for improvement that had a bright spotlight shined on them this past couple of weeks. And I'm excited. I've got my range list to do's. I've got my short game priorities I need to work on. And the other extra step I'm taking is my back has been bothering me. It's very tight. It might just be the exacerbation of such increased rotation and power being implemented into my weekly routine. So I'm getting some work done on my back to help loosen that up, really doubling down on mobility, flexibility, and recovery. And actually beginning next week, so I believe that'll be the week of July 28th, I will be stepping back from my hypertrophy muscle building specific resistance training program and crafting as well as putting in place a golf specific resistance training program with, again, more emphasis on mobility, on flexibility, rotational torque and power, designed to help me feel loose, strong, flexible, and mobile at every point of the golf swing for 18 holes every single day would be the goal. But we'll get there on playing 18, but the meaning being I'm going to have a lot of endurance in all of these movements as well. And that's where I'm at. I appreciate you taking the time to tune in. This is a real human playing a real game of golf, going through real challenges. And I look forward to sharing my progress and updates with you next week. Like I mentioned, today is Monday the 22nd as I record this. I'm slated to potentially play 9 this evening down in St. Pete. If that doesn't work out, because I'm potentially playing with a buddy, I'll just go to my local practice course and go practice instead. And then I'll get a round in this Sunday and potentially next Monday and get to update you on all of that and potentially more. So thank you for listening. If you are serious about taking your game to the next level, go ahead and make sure you check out the More Pars Than Bogeys newsletter. It's the #1, in my opinion, I'm biased, I know, newsletter where you can get digestible action steps to apply immediately to begin shooting more pars than bogeys. And if you found today's episode helpful, if you're enjoying this podcast and my journey, it would mean the world to me if you took 30 seconds to leave a genuine rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening to today's episode. Have a wonderful next round of golf, and I'll catch you in the next episode.